Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut Live. And hopefully, you like this video and hit that subscribe button. Of course, hit the like button. And of course, exclusively on YouTube today. And amazingly enough, we got a trade by the Mets. Yes, the Mets made trades a few minutes ago. They have acquired Cedric Mullins for 3 minor leaguers, and none of these minor leaguers are going to cost the Mets. As you know, I followed the Mets farm system. There's nothing going to kill them here. It's nothing. So don't think that this was a bad trade or get upset that they made this move. This was not a move, quite frankly, that's going to kill them. But we'll get into this momentarily. And of course, I am back here live talking about our favorite team, America's team, the New York Mets. Now, they were very busy yesterday, but before we get into that, let's get into the Cedric Mullins deal. They need a center fielder. It doesn't look like Luis Robert Jr. is getting moved. It looks like he's probably going to stay in Chicago. And as you know, there's a reason why there's a reason why the White Sox are so bad is because they just sort of, that's why they're in bad shape. Yes, A Prodigy. All the pitchers that the Mets sent in this deal are relievers. The Mets are sending Ramon Gomez, who's a guy, I think we talked about him, I guess, on the Prospect Hut, a guy that throws very hard, about 104 miles an hour. I believe it's him. Anthony Nunez, who was a guy that he's an undrafted free agent. I believe they signed him last summer, and he pitched really well. His name had been popping up about maybe the Mets calling him up sometime this year, but he's not something to worry about. And then there's Chandler Marsh, who I'm not familiar with, but I've seen his name here and there. And these are all relievers. So we're not talking about, and they're all in the minor leagues. I mean, these guys are in triple A, double A, single A. I mean, they have a long ways from the major leagues. And this was a move that they need to pivot this move because of the fact that Robert Jr. is not getting moved. Okay. We were hearing that a few hours ago, and now that has come to pass. So now the Mets have another piece, and I had said yesterday that they need to make at least 3 pieces to have a very good trade deadline situation. That was to get a regular reliever, a guy that could come in the 7th inning, which they got, and Tyler Rogers is an excellent reliever, and there's nobody like him in baseball. There's nobody like him in baseball, quite frankly. And nobody does submarine style. I mean, we've not seen this in a long time, a guy that throws like that. And of course, the big name that they gave up in that move was Drew Gilbert. We'll get into him momentarily. But then last night they made that big deal for Ryan Helsley. The biggest prospect that got moved yesterday and today was Baez. Because Baez, in probably all likelihood, is probably going to make it into the majors and be a contributor to the Cardinals, and he's the highest prospect that got moved. Now, I would say this. The Mets have not moved any prospects in the last 4 years. So they've been accumulating tons of prospects over the last 4 years. Since Pete Crow Armstrong, they've not moved anybody. In 22, they didn't move anybody when they really could have used they could have used a DH 3 years ago. 2 years ago, they didn't move. They got rid of everybody. They got rid of all the veteran players. And then last year, of course, they made a lot of small moves that didn't cost the farm system. So now they are loaded in the farm system with all these guys, absolutely positively loaded. That's why I kind of figured that they were going to start moving some of these pieces out of here. Because a lot of these guys just aren't good enough to be on the Mets 40-man roster. Now we'll see if the Mets are done. I would think that they probably are done. Because these are the 3 things they need to get. They need to get a guy like Helsley, a closer that could finish the game out and pitch in the 8th inning or later, and pitch in the 9th inning when they need him. say Edwin Diaz is pitched too much, or they need to give him a blow, or and they need another guy in the bullpen that's a lights out guy, and that's Rogers, and they need a center fielder. Now, in my opinion, I think they should go and get themselves another starter and put Holmes in the bullpen to finish out the last 2 months because he's gassed. I mean, you could see that he's completely worn out. That's the one thing I can say. He looks completely worn out, to be honest with you. I really don't want to hurt the guy. The guy's pitched really well. And it would be nice to see somebody not get hurt. We don't see anybody get hurt. But, Holmes has pitched really well. That would probably be the best thing for the Mets is to put him in the bullpen and maybe give one of these kids a chance to pitch. Now, we know that Paul Blackburn has been on the trading block. I've not heard much about him since, yesterday or the day before. A Prodigy told me that he was put on the block. He's a guy in the Mets farm. He works in the Mets system, and he sees all these guys. So he told me that that Blackburn was being bandied about, and then SNY picked it up the other day. I would not put anything past the Mets, but they might be done. They might not be done. I don't know. But the three big things they needed was 2 more relievers in that bullpen. Also, we can't forget they traded for Soto the other day, and Brooks Raley finally came back. So the Mets have now a championship bullpen. Now, people have been writing to me, well, they need a starter. You can't win without an ace. The Dodgers won the World Series without an ace. They didn't need a starter to win and beat the Mets, and they didn't need a starter to beat the Yankees. They just brought guys in the fourth, fifth, sixth inning, the guys that can close out games. And that's what the Mets have done here. Soto was a former closer. Bednar's a closer. Bednar's only going to be here for a couple months unless they decide to sign him and let Edwin Diaz go, let him walk, because he's got an opt-out. Now, what's interesting, let me say hello to the chat, because there's people in here, and of course I don't want to forget about that. Start talking, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Hello, Cosmo Carbone is here. A Prodigy, how you doing? Muttley in Love, how you doing? Jedi Mike, hi, how are you? How's everybody tonight or today? Yes, we will go through the trading deadline, and hopefully we'll get some more trades here. I expect Alcantara to get moved. Let's see if we got anything new. Oh, must be something going on. Maybe I missed something. But that was a very good trade the Mets did a little while ago. They didn't give up anything. I would say this. I'd heard Marcell Ozuna's on the block, that the Mets have been talking to the Braves today about Ozuna. I don't know if that's something I want to do because I am not a big fan of that guy. Don't really care for that guy, to be honest with you. But they do need some more bats. They need to improve this offense. Mullins does not do that. Well, here's so far, looking at the Braves lineup, Ozuna is in the lineup. He's still in the lineup for the Braves. Let's see. The Red Sox are discussing a D-backs trade for Merrill Kelly. Okay. Let's see here. This is from John Heyman, a.k.a. the Scott Boras Whisperer, saying that that things aren't completely off with Carlos Correa, that they're still talking to the Twins. That would be a good place for them, and they get rid of all that money. This is what, let me show you this clip. This is what Mullins did yesterday for the Orioles. He's a very good defensive player. I don't know why this is running slow, but here we go. Look at that. If you saw the play, it was just incredible. And this is the guy they brought in. See what little Andy had to say. We'll read what he has to say, because this guy's a jerk. He blocked me years ago when I get some stuff. What David Stearns wants in that position is a guy that can run down the ball, catch the ball, get a little bit of offense from him. Great. That's true. We saw that this year so far and last year. Muttley says, is Cedric Mullins inbound? Yes, he is. Jedi Mike says, I think we will get one more move. It's weird. They didn't move any of the four young. Well, I would think. See, I think Acuna was probably going to go in the Robert deal, but the White Sox, like I said, they're a disaster. Okay, there's a reason why they're so bad because they can't. This is a situation where you have a club that's so bad that you can't decide on players. You overvalue a player. Okay. Um, I know that they like Vientos. I know they liked Acuna, but if you want to have a championship team, you got to, or if you're going to have a decent team, you can't be indecisive about making moves for guys that you're a bad team with. I mean, they're bad. You know. Now he has played well over the last month, and he's hit lefties, Robert Jr. But are you going to give up a top prospect? They were looking for a top 5 prospect for him. He has not played well in 2 years. Okay. Now I think the problem with him is he's a guy that uh, probably does well in a better situation. And um, and with a better manager. I mean, he played well under Tony La Russa. And you can't sort of forget about that. You know. Let's see. Okay. A Project says Acuna will be sent down barring a trade. So in other words, somebody else will be here. Now the closest guy that was at the major league that was close to Major League Ready was Drew Gilbert. But Stearns had made it very clear that a lot of the players, specifically the position players, were not going to be in the major leagues this year. But if there's a guy that's close to the majors, it's Gilbert. Although at the rate at Carson Benz is going, he might be closer now. Carson Benz, he went to the school, Oklahoma State, and he was the Mets' #1 pick. A Project says Mullins will replace him most likely. Okay. Now, I wish Mullins was a right-handed hitter. He's a left-handed hitter, who can hit lefties. I don't think he can hit lefties, at a pretty decent clip. Now, please, of course, like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. I'm going to take you to the trading deadline, which is about 2 hours and 3 minutes. So we're pretty close to the end here. I didn't want to go all day today, to be honest with you folks. But just wanted to sort of come on and take you to the end of this thing and see what the Mets are able to do or what other teams are able to do. It's not just about the Mets. I will say this: the National League is loading up against the Dodgers. What the Padres did today, bringing in Mason Miller, what an incredible trade. The A's made out really well today for themselves. And obviously the Yankees made a trade a little while ago. Bednar went to the Yankees. Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you. Some of these teams are really wanting to win big time, and we'll see what happens. Jedi Mike says, I like Mullins over Robert Jr., especially with the White Sox asking price. They're a poorly run organization and a poverty franchise for a reason. Right on, There's a reason why they lost the most games in the history of baseball last year. There's a reason why. And they showed it with the lack of moves, that they made. They made a lot of little moves here, but now I did not follow this. How well did they make out? How well did they make out with the Garrett Crochet trade? Ooh, I'm hearing this. MLB Scoops has a scoop. This is good. This is interesting. It seems that the Mets have made a trade. We'll see if this is true. Now, Scoops can be hit or miss sometimes, but he's put out a tweet a minute ago that Adolis Garcia is getting traded to the Mets. Now, Garcia is interesting because he's been a World Series champion and a World Series MVP, or he's been an MVP, in postseason. But for the Mets to get him, I've heard his name attached to the Mets. So that's telling you the Mets are all in this thing. They want to win a World Series. I think the moves yesterday told you that they are dead serious about winning a World Series this year, based on the fact that this team is older. But then again, at the same time, the Rangers are in it unless they have a move that they have to make, And it'd be interesting to see what that extra move is. Let's see. Let me find this this post by Scoops. Like I said, he's been putting a lot of stuff out about the Mets. So one weird thing he put out yesterday was that he said ice was at the was at the Mets complex in Port St. Lucie. And then he said, well, it wasn't the Mets complex in Port St. Lucie. It was in Venezuela. But ice can't go down in Venezuela because we're not friendly with Venezuela. Let me see. And of course, now we'll see what happens. We got 2 hours until we have a. Let's see. Everybody's slow here today, but that is an interesting move. Interesting. Let's see. No, I know that a project. I know Scoop's gonna be very unreliable about some things. Believe me, I know that. But I thought that was interesting. He could be hit or miss sometimes. Be hit or miss. He's like everybody else. He ain't perfect. And so we got less than 2 hours now. Less than 2 hours now to the trade deadline. Let's see here. Now, of course, please like this video and subscribe. Well, I read it. It doesn't matter. I read the post. Let's see. Let's see where it is. He is a good player, Garcia. He's a good hitter, and he's been sort of struggling the last few years. The Mets need another bat in this lineup, in my opinion. I always look for more offense, and he's been a very good offensive player for a few years. An irresistible chicken sandwich. Wasn't the Astros in conversation with the Mets, or was that too unreliable info? Let me see. I think so. I think they were talking about Jeff McNeil. His name came up today when it came to the Astros and Jeff. Houston and Tampa were the two teams that were interested in Jeff. Hello, Ultimate Sports Network. How you be? Let's see. We'll see, over the next couple of hours. We've got 2 hours, like I said. And, of course, the Mets have made quite a few moves. I think they're telling everybody that they want to win a World Series this year. Obviously, the move for Bednar last night tells you that. Once they made the Bednar deal last night, that told you that they were all in to win. And like I said, the biggest thing is that they only gave one top 10 prospect by us. That's the one thing is that, but for a reliever like him, you have to give up something. And the other guys in the deal, they're not really anything to concern yourself with. When it comes to what the Mets are trying to do, do you want to win now, or you want to win 10 years from now, or 5 years from now? I think we're all tired of waiting for the situation to get any better. You know what I mean? You want the Mets to win now, and I want the Mets to win now. I know you do. But really, other than Drew Gilbert and of course Baez, it really didn't give up a lot. I mean, to be honest with you, they really did not give up much in this situation. Just to run over a couple of things. So they traded Buto, Blade Tidwell, and Drew Gilbert for Rogers. Tidwell I was not impressed with. Buto, you can you can replace him with somebody. And Drew Gilbert was a guy that is he's a name guy. I think we all kind of like him a lot. But the thing about Gilbert is he lost his prospect status over the past year. And he's only been really good the last month. So at least he got his value up to get himself out of here. His consistency has not been there since he hurt his hamstring last year. That is not a great ballpark for a left-handed hitter. Okay, so that is going to hurt him unbelievably. And then, of course, they made the deal last night. They traded Jesus Baez, who is a prospect. He's actually a pretty good prospect. Nate Dome, who was sort of a mid-range prospect, on top 30 prospect, And Frank Ellisalt was really, he's just a guy. Oh, wow, really? Carlos Correa going back to the Astros. Wow. Wow. Boy, it didn't take him long to go back home, did it? Wow. Well, I guess, I mean, to get out of the Twins get out of that money, it was a bad. First of all, the Mets did a smart thing not signing him. Okay, they would have been stuck with that contract. They would have been in such deep doo doo that it didn't make any sense at the time. I was not for that deal with the Mets, to be honest with you. Uh, I was not happy camper about that. Okay, that deal happened all of a sudden, and then it fell apart. Um, and then it fell apart because of the physical. And then the Mets signed him, and it didn't work out. And then he went to the Giants, and that didn't work out. He started, and then he went to the Giants. He failed that, and then he had to scramble. You know, now if they signed him to a 5-year deal, that would have been okay. But for the length of deal, it made no sense. And it's crazy. This tells you how desperate the Astros are to win again, because they made this deal, letting him walk, but they had nobody at third base. And they got to a point where they like winning, And he's such a great season player. That was the one thing I did appreciate about him. That if the Mets had gotten the postseason, he would have played great. I mean, the Mets had him, the last couple of years. The Mets he would have been getting hits like crazy. He would have been doing more or just as much as he did with the Twins that he did with the Astros. I mean, he had a good postseason last year with the Twins. Boy, oh boy, that's some trade. Be interesting to see what the Twins get back. I mean, the Twins basically breaking that team down. I mean, once they traded Duran, Johan Duran to the Phillies, that tells you they were ready to break that team up. And if Buxton hadn't gotten hurt, he was going to get moved. Who's always hurt. I guess I know he planned it, but he's always hurt, that guy. Let's just see what the Astros get in return for him. Let's see. It doesn't say so far. They haven't said anything. But in the meanwhile, of course, please, subscribe to the Baseball Hut. I am a truly independent YouTuber. Not part of any clique, not part of any group, and I like it like that. And I'm my own boss. And but Carlos Correa back to the Astros. Isn't that interesting? Interesting. Hold on, I need a drink. Look. Jay Dofer says, I'm excited. Mullins seems like a good fit. He is. He's a great defensive fit. He loves his defensive outfielders in a big way. We know that Harrison Bader got traded today as well. He got traded to the Phillies. I know the Mets were interested in bringing him back. Another guy from the Twins that got moved. We'll get into some of the names in a little bit. Probably in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll go through all the names of the players that got traded, all the players that have gotten moved here, and players that are on the block. I heard that Justin Verlander is probably going to get moved. Keep an eye on the Giants. They might be aggressive, especially after they traded Rodgers. They'll start trading some of these other pieces that are free agents. But we'll see. Of course, again, please like this video and subscribe. As we get close to the deadline, we're now an hour and 51 minutes away from the deadline. Let's see. Interesting to see what the Twins get back in return. Probably not a lot. But isn't that something? The guy goes back to Houston. All this sort of drama with his free agency, and the son of a bitch goes back to Houston. Now little Andy's pointing out something. Yankees might not be done. Mets feel most likely done. Oh, great. Thanks, little Andy. He's like the cold water and everything. This is from Joe DeMeo. He's pretty good. Mets have had such growth in their pitch development that they've been able to have this deadline so far. They really upgraded the pen and center field, trained 8 pitching prospects while keeping all of their top ones as well as most of their second tier as well. I mean, they've done such a job with the pitching um, that um, that it's just. I mean, the one thing that about Stearns is that he did not trade for any big pitchers there in Milwaukee. He developed everybody. Hello, Todd Licata. How you doing? Um, so they developed all their pitchers in Milwaukee, and he brought in position players from outside. Some of them, obviously, the big one was Christian Yelich, who is very similar in a lot of ways to the move that they made when they brought in Soto, the same age. So he's going to build this Mets team is going to be built around Soto. That's why it's extremely important that they've made these moves the last few days, because uh, Lindor is getting older at 31 years old. I don't know if I'm seeing the age yet with him, but that's important to keep in mind. Also, he's 30 years old as well, and he got off to a great start, but he's slowed down a lot over the last few weeks with his hitting. And of course, Brandon Nimmo got off to a slow start. It looks very sluggish in the beginning. These are things you got to keep in mind. You can't just sort of, you know, uh, just make blind trades and move people left and right without the idea that, well, if I move a piece here, that's going to take over for a piece later on. That's going to hurt my organization. We haven't heard anything about Ryan Clifford in any of the talks. I haven't heard anything about him being moved. And that's something to keep an eye on, because if Pete does leave after this season, maybe they finally give Clifford a shot at first. You know what I mean? And of course, they have such good pitching that they don't have to sign any big pitchers. A lot of people have been complaining that the Mets have, and a lot of these other YouTubers don't know what the hell they're talking about. Talking about how the Mets are signing pitching that are garbage pitchers, that they're dumpster diving. That Stearns has been dumpster diving. You can't say to a guy that he's dumpster diving when he's spending close to $1 billion on one player. And he knows what he's doing. When it comes to pitching, he knows what he's doing. Okay? That's the one thing we can say about him, is he knows what he's doing when it comes to the pitching. And he's done a good job. We saw that in Milwaukee. He developed guys that are aces. Woodruff's sort of close to an ace. Obviously, Corbin Burns was an ace until he got hurt this year. So he knows how to develop. Freddie Peralta's an excellent pitcher. He likes developing pitchers in his system, because then he has them for 6 years. And then if they leave, they leave. Or if they don't, they don't. But he's not going to overpay for them. And he can develop his own guys. And he can also bring in guys and help them along the way. We saw that, of course, with Griffin Canning. If it wasn't for his injury, he'd still be pitching. And he pitched great. And if it wasn't for Clay Holmes now getting tired, if it wasn't for Clay Holmes getting tired, people would be talking about how great he's pitched. So they haven't spent a lot of money on the pitching, which is smart. You want to sign a guy like Blake Snell, who hasn't pitched much for the Dodgers, and he's just coming back now? It's crazy. So I have trust in that guy, because he did a good job in the other places. Let's see. The Boris Whisperer. John Heyman saying the Red Sox are looking for stuff. Looking for starting pitching. Now Kelly's on board there. We'll see. Now, of course, please like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. We will be going until the end, which is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Where I live, there's all kinds of storms here. We've had a lot of rain here. John Morosi put out a tweet saying that Correa is going to play third base for the Astros. I think there's probably only two instances he probably would play third base. One with the Mets and one with the Astros. Because obviously they have an excellent shortstop and Payne. He's coming back. Let's see. The Correa deal involves other big league players. So I don't understand. What's this deal going to be? This is from Bob Nightingale. Let's see. Minnesota Twins didn't eat $50 million of his contract as the Astros desired, but still a significant amount. Were other major league players involved in the mega deal? Wow. So this is like a big deal. Interesting. Interesting. Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting. That he is, in all likelihood, going to. I wonder who else is involved in this trade. I wonder who the Twins are getting back. That is very interesting. Very interesting. Can I say interesting more times? That is like a favorite word in my family. That's why I use that word all the time when I do these videos. That's sort of a nod to them more than anything else. Because they think it's funny, and I think it's hysterically funny. Not going to tell you why, but it's an inside joke here at the hut. Remember, my family thinks it's hysterical when I say that. But again, of course, the Mets made a trade just a little while ago. They brought in Cedric Mullins. They gave like 3 minor league relievers. Basically nothing. John Heyman, wasn't he listening to my show? I just said this. Correa would play third base for Houston as he would have for the Mets had that $315 million deal gone through. Interesting. They're like a parrot. What a parrot. But I'd like to see. Okay, this is from Daniel Alvarez Montas. The New York Mets are not trading for Adolis Garcia. Sources tell extra base. Okay, well, that's good to know. Yeah. I didn't think that way because it looked like the Rangers look like they want to buy or at least stay what they have because all their players have been hurt. And they got DeGrom there, and they and Nathan Eovaldi, they're moving them. So if they're not moving them, what the hell are they selling? Why would they sell Garcia? Why would they trade Garcia? It makes no sense. What the hell Scoops is smoking? But we're gonna run down this list. This is from John Harper. If Mets don't make another move, have to think Bay will be most affected by the Mullins trade. McNeil figures to be primary second baseman again. Mauricio seems to be ascending, likely to get most of the playing time at third base. Did a scout tell him that? That's the one thing I like about John Harper. He always talks about the scouts that he talks to. He's like the scout whisperer. We got the scout Boris whisperer and the scout whisperer. Every article, there's always like some scout told Harper what was going on with a player. Or how he's shocked at how good of a player like Juan Soto was. He watched him all year with the Yankees. Let's see what's next here. Hey, if the Mets are done here, they did a great job. The biggest thing was they brought another bat. And this guy, he has a little power. He can steal bases. He's a very good defensive outfielder, and here he is. And Mets did well. They didn't give up anything for him. I mean, they gave nothing for him. Let's be honest. Maybe Anthony Nunez is a, maybe he gets to the majors, Nunez, because he's an undrafted guy. He's a lot like Jonathan Pintaro. He was on the 30-man top 30 prospect list, MLB. A Project says it would most likely involve someone from the major league roster, but it's not that likely. Okay. Charlie Morton. This is from A Project. He says, and this is the guy who told me that Blackburn was on the radar on the trading block. Charlie Morton is on the radar according to A Prodigy. Okay? Do not rule out another trade. I don't rule out another trade. With 2 hours, you don't know what the teams are talking about. You have no clue what the teams are talking about. A Project says it would most likely involve someone from the major league roster, but it's not that likely. Okay. I mean, really, at this point, I mean, what do the Orioles want? I mean, the Orioles are in a very strange spot. They had, well, I was watching a clip the other day saying or reading somewhere that they had really basically 3 weeks that were really bad, and really, and they look pretty good when the Mets played them. I was very impressed with them. They're still good. They have a lot of talent. There's no reason for that team to be as bad as they are. You know, I mean, there's no reason. There's absolutely no reason for that team to be as bad as they've been. To be honest with you, folks. You know, from the Munchkin, Ken Rosenthal. Now I call him the Munchkin because he's a little guy. He's like 5'2", 5'3". He's shorter than the smallest man in the world, Jose Altuve. He looks like a jockey next to a horse race. I mean, Aaron Judge. But he tweeted he tweeted this out, and I'm not being fresh about saying he's short. He talks about it being short. He says source confirms Rangers left-handed pitcher Danny Colombe from the Twins, or the Rangers acquiring him. Hello, Stoney. How you doing? How you doing, buddy? I saw you. How are you? Hi, how are you? Where's Danny Colombe? He's going to the Rangers. So the Twins are they're just unloading everybody. Interesting to see if they get rid of Jax too. So he's going to the Rangers. And about 40 minutes, we'll go through the names of players that are being moved here. So just keep that in mind. We'll run through the whole list. A Project says Jesus Sanchez to the Astros. Let's see. Yeah, so Marlins trading players too. Their outfielder Jesus Sanchez is going to the Astros. Ryan Gusto. Well, you got the information before I got it there, A Project. Get you on my show. I should have had you on my show. Well, he's a former fifth outfielder, isn't he? Yeah, that's what I see here. Now, here's the thing. If they were to bring in a guy, another starter in here, I would think that they'll probably put Holmes in the bullpen. I think they need to do that. And that would give them a super bullpen. And you just tell, and this is what I do at Holmes. Like, look, we love you. You did a great job. But you need to sort of scale back on the innings, you know. And we want to be able to win a World Series. You will help us in that bullpen. And if we need you to go more than 2 innings, more than 1 inning, you can do it, you know. Stony 814 says, "Good, Hut. Hope all good for you. Are you happy with the Mullins trade?" Yes, because they didn't give up anything for him. They gave nothing for him. Nothing. Absolutely, positively nothing. They gave nothing for that guy. You know. And Mullins will be he's an and plus Mullins. Here's the thing about Mullins. He's an everyday player. They could put now Tyrone Taylor back. They could bring Taylor in late in the game against the lefty. They could put Taylor in there for late defense for both Soto and for Nimmo. Or they could sit Nimmo a little bit more. Of course, if you want to give yourself this sort of opportunity to rest Soto's foot, you could DH him a little bit, this weekend, and have Taylor play left field. Have Taylor play right field. That's the one thing that's hurt this team is that he's played way too much, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that Siri got hurt early in the season, and now they brought in a guy that is an everyday player. Cedric Mullins is an everyday player, and you see when you bring in everyday players, there's a kind of a different kind of feel to them. Okay. John Boy says Holmes is shot as a starter. You have to put him in the pen. I think so. I think it's the fair thing for him and a fair thing for the Mets. That's what was so brilliant about that move in the offseason was that the Mets were able to make that kind of move. And if it didn't work out, then you could just sort of, if it didn't work out, then you could just put him in the bullpen. He's been great in the bullpen. He was excellent for the Yankees out there. He's an all-star twice. All right, this is from the Munchkin. He's putting out another post. Astros working hard to acquire Dylan Cease from the Padres. Sources tell the Athletic. No indication at this point that a deal is close. Okay, well, we're getting close to the end here, so moves have to be made. Texas Rangers heavily in on this is from MLB Scoops. We'll see if we got this right. He said earlier about Ozuna. Texas Rangers heavily in on Braves DH outfielder Marcell Ozuna. All kind of name being discussed in the deal. Okay. Let's see. Red Sox are talking about two top starters, including Merrill Kelly. That's from the Boris Whisperer, John Heyman. Yeah, I think Cease is probably going to go to Houston, I think, in all likelihood. Oh, really? A Prodigy says, expect a resolution on the Paul Blackburn roster crunch sometime soon. Well, it's going to be another hour and 34 minutes there, Prodigy. Can I call you A? Can I call you A? Can we be that personal, A? Or would you prefer Mr. Prodigy? But JP says, I think the Mets did really good this trade. I think so, too. They didn't give any. I mean, they gave up one big prospect and 4 trades. And that was Jesus Baez. They certainly didn't. I mean, Drew Gilbert had lost a lot of his shine as a prospect, mostly to injuries, really. And he struggled for a long time. Okay, we got another trade. Ryan O'Hearn has been traded to the Padres. Let me write his. And I got a list here, like I said. At 5 o'clock, we'll go through the list. And I did not have the Padres on my bingo card on where he was going to get moved. So he had a whole bunch of teams on him, but he did not get moved to any of those teams. He's gone to the Padres. Now, I would say this, AJ Pro, the guy is a wheeler and dealer. You never hear of a team, folks, that complains about the deal they ever make with AJ. Never. You never heard that, oh, my team got burned. That never happens. You never hear about that. And like I said, you notice the Dodgers have not done much. The Dodgers haven't done much. All these teams are loading up. I wonder what the Dodgers will do with an hour and a half left. They've done very little at this deadline. Maybe they get Alcantara. Maybe Charlie Morton. But boy, oh boy, the Dodgers have done very little. And obviously, they've not had a good season. By their standard. By their standards. A Prodigy says Ramon Laureano's part of the deal. Well, part of what deal? Well, said with Morton? So they're going to get another outfielder? What deal are you talking about? You're talking about all these... with O'Hearn? Interesting. All right, so this week the Mets they get the Mets schedule on SNY. Let's play the Giants this weekend, which is interesting. Then they play the Guardians, hoping they go back to the Indians. I will not be... Well, I'm going to the Ducks game on Sunday. Got a chance to go on the field on Sunday. Yes, John, but I saw that the Yankees did acquire Jake Bird from the Rockies. Like I said, 5 o'clock we'll go through all the names of all the players and who went where. Obviously, there are some names that aren't getting moved. Mitch Keller's not getting moved. Thankfully, the Mets don't go anywhere near him. I don't want him. He's just another Frankie Montas, Paul Blackburn type. I don't want him at all. At all. Can't say that enough. Don't want him at all. But let's see. Okay, John Heyman put this out. Look at that, A-Prize. You get the deals before I do. So from John Heyman, Ramon Laureano and Rhino Hearn go to the Padres. They haven't really put out that what they're getting back in return, but I'm sure the San Diego will send good players, and of course San Diego was mentioned as a place for Laureano. And a lot of dominoes with these outfielders are falling because obviously Luis Robert Jr. was holding up the market for the outfielders. And obviously, number 2 guy went to the Mets when it comes to the market. So Laureano's gone, O'Hearn's gone off the list. Now I'm starting to see some names coming off of here, which is terrific. Because really, most of the names on my list is the back of the list. There's all these new names that popped up in the last few days. And all the bigger names that I had at the beginning of the list, they're all sort of sitting here for the most part. But they're starting to come off too. And obviously, the 2 big names on my first page is really Ryan Helsley and Cedric Mullins, both going to the Mets. It'd be interesting to see after they made the deal, the Yankees with David Bednar. David Bednar is a good closer, but he's never pitched in big games. So that's always a concern. Although they did do a good job when they brought in Holmes in to be the reliever with them. A-Project says Ramon Laureano will play left field and Herman will be the DH. Arise will likely spend more time at DH. Okay, Arise is a very strange player. I mean, they were so waxing him poetic. I know he had a home run in that game against the Mets, the first game. He's got no power. I stay the hell away from him. He doesn't help you defensively. He doesn't run well, and everyone's comparing him to Tony Gwynn. He's no Tony Gwynn. Okay, hearing that stuff, even from Gary and Keith and this week, it was making me sick hearing that. It was really bothering me hearing that stuff. It's because it's totally not true. Boy, I tell you, like I said, the Orioles will get something good in return. So I guess the Mets made a couple moves here on the side. Sorry, let me see. This is according to Mike Meyer of Mesmerized. Jesse Winker has been transferred to 60-day IL. That's a roster move, juggling move. Right-handed pitcher Tyler Rogers has reported to the Major League team. The right-handed pitcher Chris Davinsky has been optioned to AAA Syracuse. I guess this is on the Mets, guess they made some moves on their website. Sometimes they don't announce it; they just do it on there. Oh, here we go. So the Mets announced just a few minutes ago that they've made the move of bringing in Cedric Mullins. Can't escape him. I don't know what that means. We have acquired outfielder Cedric Mullins from Baltimore in exchange for Ramon Gomez, Chandler Marsh, and Anthony Nunez. Welcome to Queens, Cedric. And these are guys that all these pitchers, all right-handed relievers. The guy that's the most interesting of the group is Ramon Gomez, who had thrown over 100 miles an hour, had thrown the hardest pitch in the minor leagues this past year. So, and of course, A-Project just said he's in the Mets organization, works for the Mets. He's saying that we'll have a resolution to this whole situation with Paul Blackburn, I guess, in a little bit. What that means, I don't know. Obviously, I don't like what I've seen from him since the Mets brought him in. I wasn't too enamored with the trade. He doesn't throw hard. He sort of nibbles when he, falls behind in the count and just nibbles in general. I don't really care for what I've seen. And he will blow up at any time. He's the type of pitcher that will give up 4 or 5 runs in an inning without blinking an eye. Uh, but the Padres is very active, and like I said, the Padres will send good pieces to the Orioles, and they sent really good pieces to Oakland. Oakland really made out really well today. I mean, they got the third best prospect in baseball, and this Dorviz guy. I can't even pronounce his name. I don't know how close he is to the majors, but they were saying Max Poetic about him. So the A's made out really well today with that move. Stony 814 says, stay away from Robert Jr. Well, you don't have to worry about that, Stony, because the Mets brought in Mullins now, and Robert Jr. Was holding up the market. I was holding up the market. Once the White Sox pulled him off the market, that was it. So that he's not getting moved. There's an obvious reason why the White Sox are so bad. Why hold on to a guy that's got a 200 batting average and he's got a $20 million option on him? Stupid. And then they were asking for like a top 5 prospect. Get the hell out of here. You ain't getting Carson Bench for him. You're not getting Brandon Sprout for him. Come on. Hey, you crazy? I don't know what they think they had there. You know. I mean, the best thing about him was that he hit 30 home runs a few years ago on a better team, with a better manager, better situation, and has been nothing since then. It's been terrible. A Price says Ramon Gomez has no control and his velocity has been inconsistent. Like I said, the Mets did not give much for Mullins. And Mullins is a rental. All the players that they brought in this year, they're all rentals. The guy I'd want, because we don't know what's going to happen in the offseason, the guy I'd want to keep is Helsley. And I guess Rogers, I guess. But people. I mean, I will mention this. People were complaining about Drew Gilbert. The Mets trading Drew Gilbert. They don't have any outfielders. Look, they got guys that they're converting into outfielders, like AJ Ewing, who has flown by him as a prospect. He's like a top 10 prospect now, and he was not drafted very high a couple of years ago, 2 years ago. Let me see what the Mets' current prospect situation is now on MLB.com. I'll have it on the side here. As you can continue to watch Elmo on fire. Elmo on fire. Let me reload this. Now, of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut and like this video. I'm going to go till we get to 6 o'clock or through 6 o'clock. Everybody went crazy when Scoops put out the thing about Dolis Garcia. Now everybody, all the other people online, are making fun of him. But expect Dylan Cease to get traded, probably to Houston. I think that's probably going to happen. And the Braves were very quiet, interestingly enough. Dodgers very quiet. I'm bringing up the Braves because they got guys that are free agents, and they're a bad team, which is good. It's good to see. Cristiano Rucco Frank Santiago. Quite the mouthful of a name. Teams like the White Sox, the Marlins, the Rockies, the Pirates, etc., they need to be gone. Okay. The Pirates have been around 150 years. They ain't going anywhere. The Rockies have the same thing with the White Sox. The White Sox have been around 125 years. They're not going anywhere. Sorry. The Marlins should go. That's for sure. The Marlins should move. The Marlins should move. And the Rockies have a great fan base. I'd feel sorry. I'd feel sad for them if the Rockies disbanded. The Rockies are being run poorly right now. And the White Sox, they made some really stupid moves. The biggest dumb move was the media pushed out Tony La Russa out of there. The worst thing that happened was that Tony La Russa is 100 years old and they hired him, but then the team started playing well, and then the media pushed him out and hired a guy that had no reason to be there. A Project says Marcell Ozuna's 10-5 rights are a complication for any trade proposals. Really? That's interesting. Let's see. Stony814 says, I'm impressed with Stearns. He's done a good job this trade deadline. Well, he knows what he's doing. Mets had a lot of depth in their organization. And they trade mostly pitchers here, other than 2 position players. Okay? They didn't trade much. I mean, really, they didn't trade anything of note. Let me go to the Mets list here. Prospects. Well, one guy's already gone. One guy's already gone off this list. Ramon Gomez, who got traded to the Orioles, was 30th. He's gonna be gone. He's gone. He's gone from this list. But interestingly enough, just running through this group, really there's about 6 or 7 guys you don't want to move. Jeff Williams wasn't getting moved in this thing. Jonah Tong wasn't getting moved. Nolan McLean wasn't getting moved. Carson Benj wasn't getting moved. Obviously. Brand Sprout wasn't getting moved. Jacob Reamer's not getting moved. Okay. Some of the other guys, you can talk me into it. Anthony Nunez. He was the Mets' 14th best prospect. But he's 24 years old. Just turned 24. He's got 2 years. He's been in the Mets organization 2 years. He's an undrafted free agent. No, excuse me. He was drafted. No, that's right. He was drafted a few years ago, and then he sort of disappeared. I went back to college. Right. A Prodigy says Pete Alonso's impending free agency is one of the reasons Vientos will stay. Interesting. I mean, that's been talk about that. Let's see. Got some new names on them. That's a top 30 list. And we haven't even gone to the draft yet. We don't have anything about Mitch Voigt and Kid Jimenez. Let me see. The guys that are going to be off this list, I mean, Gomez is going to be gone. A new guy on the list, which I was surprised to see, Giovanni Rodriguez, who's a catcher with the Mets in the minor league system. He is right now in Dominican Summer League. He's with the Mets Dominican Summer League or Blue. Right now, wow, he's hitting 326. Wow. Hey, Prodigy, question for you. What's this thing on Giovanni Rodriguez? How's he viewed as a player in the Mets system? I'm curious to know, because he hadn't been on too many of these top 30 lists or top 50 lists. So I was just curious as to how he's viewed in the Mets organization. Just out of curiosity. John Hamm says Cease to Houston is progressing. Nationals might get a reliever too. Wow. If deal could be completed. Well, you figure that they got a lot of moving pieces there with Mason Miller now there. It's funny. I haven't been that impressed watching Dylan Cease, because every time the Mets face him, they beat the hell out of him. They beat him up last year. They beat him up twice this year. I wasn't that impressed with him. He strikes out a lot of batters, but boy, he takes a beating. He'll take a beating for you. Let's beat him up pretty good on Monday. It wasn't for that bad umpire, the Mets might have won that game on Monday. But we're now an hour and 16 minutes away from the deadline. And we'll go through the deadline. We'll run down what the Mets have done here. Obviously, the Mets have done a lot here. Completely improved the bullpen. Starting with Soto. Gregory Soto from the Orioles. And obviously, they brought in, of course, then they brought in last night yesterday Rogers, then they brought in Helsley. It's going to be some bullpen. That's like a 6-inning game now. This guy's got to squeak some runs out. And then, of course, they brought in Cedric Mullins. He's there to catch the ball, hit some balls out of the ballpark a little bit. A Price says Giovanni Rodriguez has been dominant rookie ball. I mean, really, just looking at it, he's hit 326, and he's that low on the pecking order because he was like considered one of the top prospects last year when the Mets signed him. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see where some of these prospects fall after they bring in the once they add in like a new list with players being traded, and of course with the draft picks too. But to see him that low, I mean, he's behind other guys on this list, other catchers. Highest catcher on this list was Diverson Gutierrez, which I don't know a lot about. You know, I don't know much about him, but he's the highest guy on that list. And I think Chris Suarez next. Let's see. Yeah, Chris Suarez is next, but he's sort of a utility guy. Play everywhere. And he right now, where the hell is he playing? He's in Double-A. He got off to sort of a sluggish start, but he's sort of a high energy guy. You can see where he is in another year or so. 2, 3. So that's got like four catches on this top 30 list that are of interest to me. I always love a good catcher. But obviously none of them are Francisco Alvarez. Now, of course, please like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. In a few minutes, we'll run down the players that have been traded and on the block through my list. Jesus Sanchez trade, where they get, so it was like a 3-for-1 deal. The Astros get Sanchez, the Marlins get Ryan Gusto, Chase Jarowski, and Esmil Valencia. So that's 3-for-1 for a guy that's like a role player. It's crazy. That's crazy. But there's the Marlins. They got a lot of problems there. Poorly run. Now, of course, I'll have more stuff over the next couple of days. We'll go through a lot of stuff here at the Baseball Hut. Also on Facebook, if you must know. That's doing really well. Very happy with that account. Can't believe how that's done. Should have done work on there a long time ago. It made life a lot easier here at the Hut. But we'll go through this list. I mean, a lot of trades. The biggest trade, obviously, was the Mason Miller trade. Top trade targets they have on here: Joe Ryan, Dylan Cease. Well, Ryan's probably going to get moved now. Merrill Kelly, Mitch Keller, Sandy Alcantara, Zach Gallen, Charlie Morton, Luis Severino, and Justin Verlander. I heard that he was possibly going to the Angels. There's talks about that. And that the Yankees are interested in Alcantara. I wonder if Joe Ryan will be next on the list when it comes to the Twins, because obviously this deal with Correa is a complicated deal with the money, But they must be taking back, major league players in that deal. We'll see. Let's see where we are at now on X. See updates here. I mean, seeing Correa getting moved at the deadline, what a shock. I mean, that's a shock. I didn't think, be honest, I didn't think he was going to get moved, but that's not the big move today. I thought the move obviously was Miller going to the Padres. I mean, that's quite the move by the Padres, and obviously that gives them a big bullpen that apparently they're not going to trade Suarez. Suarez is staying there, and which doesn't surprise me. You want to have a big bullpen when you get the postseason. Like I said, the Mets, the Phillies, and the Padres, they've made all these moves to beat the Dodgers. It's all about beating the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, and again, like I said earlier, the Dodgers have been very, very quiet. They haven't done anything today. No big moves over the last few days either. Nothing of note. So it wouldn't surprise me if they pull an Alcantara out of their pocket, or they bring in a Brandon Lau, who it doesn't seem like he's getting moved, but I can see them doing that, and then him killing, having like a big postseason. I can definitely see that happening. But But I'm going to run down through these names. There's close to 100 names on this list, and there's other players that didn't get aren't on the list. You know, which is fine. You can't go through every player. I mean, not every move is meant to win a World Series. It's not something to pay attention to all the time. You know. Let's see. The hell are we right here? Oh boy. So it's worth noting that the Astros Twins deal for Correa is pending medical review, which means nothing for almost every player other than Carlos Correa. So that deal could could run down the drain. That deal could run down the tubes, folks. Down the tubes. Imagine they say the doctors come back to them and say, you know what, that's not a good idea. This is from the Boris Whisper. John Heyman, Yankees are still talking to teams about adding a starting pitcher. No word anything's close yet. So it doesn't seem like Alcantara, that's happening anytime soon. I don't think he'll get moved. I got a funny feeling again, like I said about these other teams, these other teams don't know what the hell they're doing. And I can see them screwing up and then not making a move, I can see them doing nothing. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that teams that are bad do. They don't do nothing when they should do something. And there was a 3-team trade. I don't have the details here, but there was a trade with the Reds. The Reds are going to be good. The Reds are good. I was very impressed with them. When I saw them play the Mets the other day or last week or whatever it was. Very good team. A-Project says Mets making an in-house promotion with their starters is a possibility if no more moves are made. Absolutely. That I do see that. Either McLean or Sproat. But obviously those guys on the 40-man roster. That's the only thing. I wonder if the I wonder if the Yankees have started up again. Let's take a look. Nope, rain delay. David Cohn and Michael not okay. I would mention I have a video that I recorded on David Cohn saying that they should give a standing ovation to Anthony Volpe. Has done nothing in the majors. I'm going to play 3 years here. He's not an all-star like Trey Turner or Francisco Lindor. There's no track record there. He says that Yankee fans should give him a standing ovation. And I have a couple of videos on YouTube that I'll be posting the next day or so, and really a little after the trade deadline, that are non-traded, and they're not like trade related. Buzz Bass says Volpe stinks. Damn right. Damn right. Damn right. See, the problem with Volpe is it's bad enough he's playing poorly, but obviously it's bothering him. I done a video on his father a few weeks ago when the Mets were playing the Yankees at Citi Field, and some Met fan was getting on his kid. And the fact that the father was that pissed off, folks, that tells you that it's really bothering Anthony. And I said it in the video at that point that the Yankees should have sat down with Anthony and said, look, we don't want to see you like this. Don't let this stuff bother you. It's all part of the process of playing here. If you're not getting booed, you're not doing something right. Right. So, it's part of the process. But the problem is he came up with such fanfare as the next great player with the Yankees. And he just hasn't been that. He's not a very good hitter. He's not a high average hitter. He doesn't get on base enough. His defense, and I did not think it was good the first year. And everybody sort of said, oh, he's going to play second base. But then he went to Gold Glove. It didn't really help. And his whole development. He should have been put at second base after that first year. That winning that Gold Glove is probably the worst thing that could have happened to him, because anybody that watched him that season, everybody said he's not a Gold Glove winner. How he got that Gold Glove is beyond me. And that hurt him a lot. And I think that's hurt him since. And people want Derek Jeter there. You know. John Boy says, fighting and cursing during God Bless America. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't follow everything that the Yankees do. Oh, so the Yankee game's scheduled to resume in about 25 minutes. But meanwhile, it's all dark and they still got the tarp on the field. How the hell are they getting that field ready in 25 minutes? They don't even have the tarp off. It takes at least a half hour to get the ground dry. What's the matter with that? The hell are they posting the time? And it didn't rain just a little bit here where I live. It was pouring. And it's raining now. It was pouring around 3 o'clock. My goodness. It was getting all flooded in front of the hut. Good thing I'm on high ground to a certain degree where I live now. Because it gets all flooded outside, but it doesn't get flooded where I live. But there's a little flood in front of the house, Now, please, of course, like this video. You don't see this anywhere else. Well, I have a talk about my personal life. I'm not into the statistics. I'm into the statistics here. But I'm very much into what's going on in terms of how the players look. I don't care about the OPS plus, all that stuff. I'm basically about looking at little things. So again, that trade, Will Wagner is going to the Padres. He's with the Blue Jays. That's the son of Billy Wagner. That's the son of Billy Wagner. So that is sort of interesting. He's had some week. that family's had some week. So he goes from Toronto to all the way on the other side of the country to California. And the Blue Jays get Brandon Valenzuela. Buzzbass asks, how do you like the moves Stearns made? I thought they were terrific. I think the initial shock of Rogers, I think people were shocked that they gave up as many players. And then you saw Tidwell and Drew Gilbert, in particular Gilbert, who had come in here basically because they traded Verlander 2 years ago. That was a name that everybody knew. But people weren't looking at it realistically due to the fact that he hadn't played well in the past year. Specifically this year, up until a month ago. What's interesting about Tidwell and Drew Gilbert, they were teammates in Tennessee when they played in college. Both got drafted. Tidwell got drafted by the Mets, and Gilbert got drafted by the Astros, and they both got on the same team 2 years ago, and they've been playing together this whole time, and now they get traded. They both get traded. Isn't that funny? And they're going to go to San Francisco. I would expect that Gilbert will get an opportunity this year, probably after this. And Tidwell will get an opportunity to pitch. And Buto's going into that bullpen. The thing about Buto, I would mention, is that Buto for a long time was a Met prospect, okay? And he pitched well until he got to AAA, and then he completely struggled with his control. And his prospect status basically collapsed. Now, over the past year and a half, that prospect status was gone, but he had pitched well. Now, this year has been sort of very inconsistent. I don't know what happened with this sickness or this illness that he had. I don't know what happened there. But I know that Buto was a weird kind of cat. Just based on the fact that when the Mets had Amazing Day this last offseason, that he was not really interacting with fans too much. Okay? I know that was an issue. Because people were writing on X saying that he was not interacting with anybody. And I think that is a problem that gets noticed within a clubhouse. That certainly gets noticed in a clubhouse. Just see something. Now, of course, please subscribe the Baseball Hut. Hope you're enjoying the show. I say it like it is here. So, I would mention, if I've not seen one of these prospects, I can't really give you my opinion on a player. So that's the one thing I can say about it. If I haven't seen a player, then you got to know that I don't have an opinion on a player. Somebody wrote to me, was asking me about Clifford and asked me about Drew Gilbert. I haven't seen them. So I can't give you my opinion on a player if I haven't seen them. I'm trying to be fair. I'm not going to go based off a scan report. I do know that with Gilbert, he's got a big arm. Be interesting to see if they put him in right field with the Giants. But all right, let's go through the list here. And this is a big list that I have here. Almost 100 players on this list. Almost 100 players on this list. It's on the trading block or has gotten traded over the last few days. Obviously, the real big name, he wasn't on here, was Rafael Devers. Rafael Devers obviously was not on the list because nobody thought he was going to get moved when the Red Sox got rid of him. But let's go through this list of mine. We have an hour, less than 60 minutes from now, till the deadline, and the Mets have been very busy the last few days. They brought in Gregory Soto. They brought in Ryan Helsley. They brought in Tyler Rogers, and of course now today Cedric Mullins. So let's go through the list. And this is a list I started accumulating in April. So this goes back to the beginning of the season. First name up, Sandy Alcantara. He has not been moved yet. He's still sitting there. I don't think with an hour left he's going to get moved. But I've heard the Mets, Boston, the Yankees, San Diego, the Dodgers, Texas, and the Cubs. Now, the Dodgers have been very quiet. They could be sneaky, and they're also a team that has a big farm system. Luis Robert Jr. Teams have sort of eliminated themselves by the moves they've been making or the moves they have been making. But we have Houston, Cincinnati, San Diego, and the Mets. I would say that San Diego and the Mets are both off of this list now as destination spots for him. But it doesn't seem like he's getting moved. Once the word got out that he wasn't getting moved, the team started pivoting to the other outfielders. That's why the Mets got Mullins. Ryan Helsley, trade to the Mets. That was a big move. The biggest player in that trade was Baez, and of course El Salt and the other guys in there, but nothing of any note. Baez will get to the majors. These other guys will probably get to the majors at some point, but Baez is the highest ranked prospect moved in this trade deadline by the Mets. And of course, 1 hour left, less than an hour left now until the trade deadline. Eric Feed, trade to the Braves. Brandon Lau does not look like he's going to get moved. Word is that that's probably not going to happen. Dylan Cease, I'll put them down. I also put them maybe staying with San Diego, but Houston seems to be the most obvious destination spot for Cease, and he's a free agent. Jaron Duran, I haven't heard much about him. The Pirates are done, I think, for the day. I don't think that Reynolds is getting moved. Charlie Morton, keep an eye with the Mets, the Cubs, the Dodgers, the Yankees, San Diego, Boston. What's interesting about Morton is, even though he's a skunk for hitting Pete 2 years ago, that is a guy that will pitch big in postseason, even at his age. Seth Lugo got re-signed by the Royals. Jake Bird got traded to the Yankees. Seth Halverson's still out there. Joe Adell, I don't think he's getting excuse me. He's not getting moved because the Angels are basically told you that they are buying. Hold on, I need a drink. Hold on, I need a drink. Look. I'm parched. Cedric Mullins, trade to the Mets. A little while ago. The players the Mets traded, they're all relievers in the system. Relievers that get traded for a major leaguer, they don't normally pan out. Very rarely. Kyle Finnegan got traded to the Tigers. Keep an eye on Tommy Pham. He could get moved in the next hour. Keep an eye on him. Very important. Keep an eye on him. Ryan O'Hearn, traded to the Padres. Luis Severino should get moved since they moved Mason Miller. They're building their team for 2028 for when they go and become the Las Vegas A's. Aroldis Chapman, I don't believe he's getting moved. Trent Grisham, I don't think he's getting moved. Ryan McMahon, trade to the Yankees. Josh Naylor, trade to the Mariners. Adolis Garcia, MLB Scoops put out a bullshit thing out before, but he's not getting moved. Eugenio Suarez got traded back to the Mariners. Mariners are all in too, by the way. Mitch Keller doesn't seem like he's getting moved. David Bednar gets traded to the Yankees. Emmanuel Clase, a disappointment for a lot of people, got suspended. It's interesting how quickly he got suspended, and meanwhile, interestingly enough, Ohtani did not get suspended. Look how quickly Clase got suspended, and how they're still investigating this stuff with gambling there in Cleveland. We have a trade. This is the Los Angeles Dodgers are acquiring Alex Call from the Washington Nationals. That's a nothing trade. A project says can't confirm, but prospects like Bryce Matthews and their Jacob Mellon will be part of the Correa deal final. Well, those are pretty good prospects. Let's see, where are we? Andrew Haney, we've heard Toronto, New York, Yankees, Seattle, and the Cubs. Jeffrey Springs is out there. Dennis Santana, I'm surprised he hasn't gotten moved yet. Marcelo Ozuna, I've heard the Yankees and the Mets. I think the Yankees are pretty much done, I think. If they make another move, it'll probably be for pitching. Mike Soroka, trade to the Cubs. Herman Marquez, Aaron Savali, Nathan Lowe still out there. He'd be a good bat for put him at first or with the DH. Josh Bell too. Zach Littell got traded in a major trade, three-way trade last night. Zach Gallen, we've heard Texas. The Mets, Minnesota, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Yankees. I don't think they'll trade him to the Dodgers, and Boston. O'Neal Cruz is not getting moved again. The Pirates don't know what the F they're doing. Kenley Jansen's not getting moved. Another team doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Sean Murphy is not getting moved. Merrill Kelly, we've heard the Mets, Seattle, Toronto, Milwaukee, the Yankees, the Dodgers. Again, I don't think he's going to the Dodgers. I don't think the Dodgers the Diamondbacks would help them. I'll cross those names out for Gallen and Merrill. The Cubs, Boston, and Houston. Edward Cabrera. The Mets, Padres. Let's have to give him way too much. I'm not all that impressed with him. The Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Cubs. Tomoyuki Sugano, I haven't heard his name mentioned anywhere that he's going to be moved, but I have him on my list, and there was some names that are out there. For Minnesota, which we could probably cross them off because now they're selling. The Cubs, Texas, San Diego, and the Dodgers. Stephen Kwan. Now, I don't think the Mets will be in on him now because obviously with Mullins and same thing with San Diego, but keep an eye on him with Toronto, Cincinnati, and the Dodgers, but probably no likelihood he will not get moved. I'd be shocked if he got traded. Be shocked. Be absolutely shocked if he got traded. Ramon Laureano got traded to the Padres. Johan Duran traded to the Phillies. Taylor Rogers, the brother of Tyler Rogers, traded to the Pirates. He's lefty. He could get flipped. Felix Bautista has not gotten moved. We haven't heard his name. But the Dodgers were mentioned with him, and the Cubs mentioned with him as well. Starling Marte, we haven't heard anything about the Mets moving any of their haven't heard anything about Marte, where he's going. It doesn't seem like Mark Vientos is going anywhere. Let's see what we got here with the Yankees. Yankees gained steam to acquire one of the Marlins starting pitchers. They would pivot to the Diamondbacks starting pitcher. They can't work something out. Less than an hour left. Other teams are involved as well. Okay. Randall Krejcik trade to the Royals. Willie Castro and teams interested in him are the Yankees, Seattle, and Houston. Rocio Iglesias, we've heard the Yankees. Harrison Bader, trade to the Phillies. J.P. Sears, trade to the Padres in the Mason Miller deal. Adrian Howes, they were talking about him on MLB on the MLB network. It was crazy. The hell you spend any kind of time on him? Pierce Johnson, Sir Anthony Dominguez got traded to the Blue Jays. Danny Colombe got traded to the Rangers, the Wildco. Keep an eye on Phil Maton. He might get moved. He's with the Cardinals right now. Brian Hayes got traded to the Reds. He finally got out of there. Taj Bradley, Griffin Jacks. He might not get with the new closer there, but I've heard the Mets and the Dodgers with him. I will see where he goes. Here's from Joel Sherman. Devin Williams' name has come up in discussions. Does not mean the Yankees are trading him. Lots of names discussed this time of year. Williams a free agent after the season. Remember, Bednar cannot only close, but has one more year of team control beyond this season. Really, and he has not pitched that well with the Yankees. Brendan Donovan, I've heard the Dodgers. Mike Tauchman with Houston, that might be over with. Joe Ryan, keep an eye on Boston, the Yankees, Toronto, Phillies, and Seattle. Pete Fairbanks for Texas, Toronto. They might. Well, we'll see about them. Boston and the Dodgers, and Seattle. Got a bunch of Yankee targets here: Jose Cabrera, Taylor Walls, David Hamilton, Carlos Correa. The hell did I write here? Carlos Carrasco. Trade to the Braves. Mackenzie Gore doesn't look like he's getting moved. Chris Paddock, trade to the Tigers. Dustin May seems like the Yankees were interested in it. Doesn't look like, I don't know what's going on with him. Yeah, and the Dodgers very quiet. Shane Bieber got traded to the Blue Jays this morning. Jeff McNeil, we've heard Tampa and Houston. Yandy Diaz seems like he's being pulled out of any kind of trade discussion. We've heard Paul Blackburn. I put San Diego down just for no reason because it's a cheaper version of a pitcher for them. And the White Sox. Carlos Correa, trade to the Astros. Robert Suarez, but I don't think he's getting moved now. Luis Angel Acuna, I've heard the White Sox. Mason Miller, trade to the Padres. Justin Verlander, we've heard about Detroit. Not Detroit. What the hell? Was it Detroit that I saw that? Or was it the Angels? Might have been the Angels. I'll put them down anyway. Ramon Urias got traded to the Astros. Steven Matz got traded to the Red Sox. And, of course, the immortal Paul Sewald got traded to the Tigers this morning. And that's where we are right now with 48 minutes to go until the trade deadline. Let's see. Let me just read a couple of things here. Some more tweets from John Heyman. He said that the Rangers have been trying for Dylan Cease, are talking to the Diamondbacks about Merrill Kelly. Okay. You find their names here. Add a couple teams' names here. Now, please, of course, subscribe to the Baseball Hut and like this video. We have more stuff as we get along. Like I said, we got 48 minutes until the trade deadline, and we'll have a pretty good idea of what we're going to be dealing with after 6 p.m. Being reports that the Mets aren't going to do anything else now, but we'll see. I would like to see him getting a starter in here and put Clay Holmes in the bullpen. Really would like to see that. That would be good. I'd be very happy with that. Let's see. Yeah, the Dodgers traded James Outman, who almost made a game-saving catch last night in the Reds game in Cincinnati. He came up on the wall and he just missed time to jump and he would have made some play. All right, this is from little Andy Martino. One thing left for Mets is to find a destination for Paul Blackburn. They are continuing to have discussions on him. Well, A Prodigy has been telling me this the last few days that the Mets are going to move him and they should get him out of here. That I would like to see him gone. I don't want him here. He's not a winning player. He's not a World Series pitcher. That's for sure. Let's see. Now, please, of course, hit the like button and subscribe. Okay, Padres and Astros from John Morosi. Padres and Astros remain in discussions about Dylan Cease. No agreement yet. Well, we'll see. Now, I'm going to turn on the air in here. It's getting awfully hot in here. and I'm yapping. So let me turn it on. Give me a minute, stretch my legs out. I'll be back momentarily. We'll get back to this with 46 minutes left before the trade deadline. All right, your host is back. I just had to use the just had to use the bathroom. Where'd everybody go? Sorry, no, only human. Yeah. So right now we got 43 minutes until the trade deadline, and the Mets have been pretty active here the last couple days, and we'll see what happens now between that time. So of course, please hit the like button and subscribe. See if we got any more moves. Just going through this Astro stuff. Okay, the Red Sox and the Rangers are in strong pursuit. Diamondback starter Merrill Kelly with 45 minutes left until the trade deadline. This is from Bob Nightingale. From Bob Nightingale. So according to little Andy Martino, this is about Robert Jr., which I'm glad they didn't get him. I was not happy with him. Glad they didn't get him. Quote, they were engaged in Robert and they liked him, but they couldn't agree on value there. The Mets got the sense by the end of yesterday that the White Sox weren't going to trade him. Okay, that's fine with me. I didn't want him anyway. You know, he's not any good at this point in his career, in my opinion. I thought the Mets could have done much better than bringing in Robert. You know, I thought the Mets could have done a lot better than him. I think Mullins is the better fit. It's a more complete player, in my opinion. Considering what the Mets are trying to do, I think he's just a better situation. A Project says I'm interested to see what happens with Gallen and Quan. I don't think Quan's going to get moved because they're going to want a lot for him. And I was going through his numbers. He's not as good as they were making him out to be. The guy doesn't play all the time. I was going through his numbers. I was like, he's okay. He's okay. I wouldn't have given up. He's not worth a top 10 prospect or a top 5 prospect. He's a great defensive outfielder. But I don't think he's the value is just not there as a player. In my opinion, just looking at purely at the numbers, as a defense, he doesn't have any power. He doesn't even have a lot of he doesn't even have a lot of slugging percentage. It's not a lot of slug there either. Everybody's sort of talking, waxing poetic about him. So I was just going through the numbers, just a basic thing. I was like, he's not any good. What the hell? Why teams like clamor for him? You gotta be careful with the Guardians. They tend to do this stuff. They overvalue some of these players. Although Lindor's not overvalued, but I'm just saying, you be a little careful with the Guardians, when it comes to them overvaluing players. And I was like shocked that they were like, the teams were like falling over themselves to get that guy. It's like, what's going on here? I don't think he's any good. This was this morning when I was going through his numbers. Just over his career, I was like, he's a good defensive player, I guess, but he's a left fielder. You get no power out of him. There's no like extra base pop there. There's not a lot of doubles there. There's not a lot of triples there. There's no speed. I'm like, what are we like talking about here with this particular player? From A Project, Gallen is probably going to stay and receive the qualifying offer. Well, we'll see. That's not my problem. But why? I mean, and that's the thing about him is like he's going to have a tough time getting a deal. If he gets, that's the one problem with these qualifying offers. Unless you're like a true great player, it's not worth it. It's not worth signing a player that has a qualifying offer. It's really not, in my opinion. But we still got big names on the block here. Alcantara's the big name. Cease, Charlie Morton. We'll see if Severino gets moved. I haven't heard much, but obviously with them having made that big trade for Mason, it makes no sense to hold on to Severino. Makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. Well, A Project, you were right. It seems that this is from little Andy. With the Mets not trade for a starting pitcher, expect the likes of Nolan McLean to be in line for opportunities this year. Okay, so you're ahead of the curve, always. But keep an eye. But I would think that Paul Blackmer's probably gonna get moved. It'll be interesting to see what kind of value he has. So that's an interesting nugget from little Andy that the Mets are going to call up McLean. McLean, he's certainly deserved it. But again, I'll give you. I saw him. I've seen him a little bit. One of the starts he pitched in on SNY, I wasn't all that impressed. His last start was really good. He went into the 8th inning. And honestly, his best pitches, I guess he has a sweeper or a slider or something, which is pretty good. I thought he'd do much harder than what I saw. Because the scanning reports have been that he can throw up to like 98, 99. But we'll see how he is. I don't get too crazy about them in the minor leagues, but I just want to have an idea of what I see. And too bad there's no games on tonight. There's no games on SNY tonight. All right, we got another trade from Jeff Passan. The Rangers are acquiring right-hander Merrill Kelly from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So a name is off the board. Another name's off the board here. Merrill Kelly, which I had the Rangers down just as I was doing the list before. He has now been gone. He's gone from the Diamondbacks, and he's now with the Rangers. We'll see what they get back in return. The Rangers have sort of a middling kind of farm system now because all their prospects are in the majors. I'm going to do something. I'm going to post my live stream on YouTube, on Facebook. And maybe I get some people in here. I should have done this before. Okay. Now, in the meanwhile, please like this video and subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and we will have a whole bunch of stuff here, I guess. No, I'm going to go till we get to 6 o'clock. Got 35 minutes now to trade deadline. Let's get back to the MLB network. I don't know what the hell I was watching the Evan and Tiki talking to the Giants. Isn't that weird that WFN was there? was at Giants training camp today. Merrill Kelly's a good pitcher. He's a really good pitcher. The Rangers did well in that trade. See who they sent back in return. See who they sent back in return. Let's see what we got here. So we got 34 minutes until the trade deadline. Then we're going to see where we are at. See what other big pitchers go. But Merrill Kelly's going to the Rangers. The Rangers are all in. The Rangers are all in. Because that seems like we're at the end of the line when it comes to Bruce Bochy. Maybe he might be retiring after this season. So it might be at the end of the line. This is a pretty big trade at this Rhino Hearn, Ramon Laureano. They go to the Padres, and the Padres send to the Orioles Boston Bateman, Brandon Butterworth, Tyson Neighbors, Cobb Hightower, Victor Figueroa, and Tanner Smith. You'd think these guys were Hall of Famers. Wow. This is a pretty. That's a lot of players in that trade. And for guys that aren't Hall of Famers, guys that have spare parts, and role players. Wow. With Ryan O'Hearn, that's a lot of players involved. See, the Boston Bateman's a prospect. Let's see. We're now 42 minutes away. Now 42 minutes away from the trade deadline, and we're expecting a couple moves here. I don't know if the Mets are going to bring in any more players, but I would expect that Paul Blackburn is going to get traded. I would expect that he will be one that will be moved before the deadline because the Mets need to get him out of here and just clear up some of the roster spots on this team. I'll tell you, like I said earlier, the moves that they've made here, it tells you that they're all in on wanting to win the World Series this year, but they're also not wanting to move any of their really good prospects because of the fact that this team is older. Obviously, with this whole situation with some of the players the Mets have, like Lindor's in his 30s and Pete's in his 30s. He might not be here next year. Nimmo's in his 30s. And they're going to build this team around Juan Soto. I mean, we know that. And they have a lot of young guys. They've not moved them. All the players in the major league level have not been moved, which I think is interesting. And they only moved 2 players from the farm that I think are considered guys that, I think they're going to be major league players. Baez has a chance to be maybe an everyday player. I think Drew Gilbert's probably going to be a 4th outfielder. Just seeing how his sort of his value has gone down. A Project says Angels acquire Oswaldo Peraza. Isn't he with the Yankees? Isn't he with the Yankees? That guy? He's with the Yankees, right? Yeah. Yankees have traded Oswaldo Peraza to the Angels. Is this the Yankees' incompetence or the Angels' incompetence? Willie Castro's just gotten traded. He's going to the Cubs. So this is a player the Yankees, I guess, were interested in. But he's not going there. Where's Willie Castro? Where's Willie? Willie! And I did not have the Cubs down. The Cubs had a weird deadline. They didn't make a big move. They should have made a big move with them being in second place. And the Brewers didn't do anything either. Oh, excuse me. I put the wrong name down. Oh, yeah. Okay. I got it right. Yeah, so the Rangers are acquiring Merrill Kelly from Diamondbacks 3 prospects. Okay. Yeah, so Willie Castro went to the Cubs. It's Waldo Peraza. They got traded to the Angels. Angels don't know what the hell. No, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Angels. Angels don't know what the hell they're doing. They really don't. You know, this was a team that should have traded everybody that wasn't a young player. You know, Taylor Ward should have gotten traded. Joe Adell should have gotten traded. You know, they're so screwed. They don't even know if they should sell the team. That's how screwed up ownership is. But Artie Moran, you know what the hell he's doing. The second he took the team, they sort of didn't know what the hell they were doing after that. It's probably that they won the World Series. 25 years of doing nothing. It's pathetic. Not that I care. I'm just saying. You talk about second team status in that city. You think folks think it's bad with the Yankees the way the Yankees are acting about Soto? How about the Angels fans? They had the best player in baseball, and they let him walk. They didn't even give him a shot. They didn't even trade him. They just let him just play out the schedule. I would have moved him. They knew he wasn't signing back. Get rid of him. You know how better of an organization they would have been if they traded Ohtani? Going into 23, knowing that he was, was going to leave. Everybody knew that guy was leaving the Angels. Trade him. If you know he's leaving, get him out of there. And obviously there's issues with him. Send him to some bad place. Send him to Toronto. Send him to Cincinnati, where he has to spend the year. Would you imagine Ohtani in Cincinnati for a year? Or Milwaukee? But I'm just saying, I mean, that's how bad the Angels are as an organization. Then there's bad situations, and then there's the Angels. So we now have 27 minutes now until the trade deadline. And I don't expect the Mets to bring in new players, but I expect to get some people out of here. This is John Morosi. The Red Sox have made a late effort to acquire Joe Ryan. We'll see. So we'll see what happens there. The Twins are basically breaking that team up. And like I said earlier, if Byron Buxton hadn't been injured, they probably would have talked to him to move him too. I mean, look how they got rid of Carlos Correa. Like I said, I don't think Stephen Kwan's getting moved. Just based on the fact I don't think he's any good. I mean, I think they're going to want a lot of players for him that are top 5 prospects. He's not worth the top 5 prospect. A guy with no slugging percentage and no power, and he's a singles hitter. It's crazy. Crazy. Let me run down the players that have not been moved, because we've gone through the players that have been moved here. Obviously, Sandy Alcantara, we'll see where he goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get moved, just based on the fact that you have bad teams. These bad teams don't seem to know what the hell they're doing So these bad teams always like screw up and then they don't do anything, thinking that improves their club. So I don't think he's getting moved with less than a half hour to go. Luis Robert Jr. with another bad organization, he's not getting moved, although they're going in the right direction. Brandon Lau, who is in a good organization, but they're a homeless team with the Tampa Bay Rays playing in Steinbrenner Field. He's not getting moved. Dylan Cease hasn't been moved yet, but I expect him to get moved probably to Houston. Keep an eye on both Texas teams, really. It seems are very much in on him. Maybe Boston. Or maybe not Texas now. Texas is probably out because they picked up Merrill Kelly. So cross that out. Jaron Duran doesn't seem like he's getting moved. Let me just double check Boston because I don't know that I don't follow everything every day. Let me see baseball reference. Now, please, of course, like this video and subscribe. Boston's record is they're in third place at 59-51. So he's not getting moved. I guess I can cross his name off the list here. Cross his name off. He's not getting. If he gets moved, I'd be shocked. Where is he? All right, cross him off. A half hour to go. Brian Reynolds is probably kicking himself for signing that deal with the Pirates. He's not getting moved. Charlie Morton, keep an eye on him. He might get moved the last minute here. The Orioles maybe they'll squeeze something out of some team late. Let's see. Ronald Hearn, we still got moved. Keep an eye on Luis Severino because of the fact that Mason Miller got moved. He might be on the way out. Adolis Garcia, MLB Scoops got everybody crazy saying he was getting moved to the Mets. That didn't happen. Mitch Keller's not getting moved again. The Pirates don't know what the hell they're doing, but I wouldn't give up my top 10 prospect for him. This guy's Paul Blackburn incarnate. Marcell Ozuna, the Braves have done nothing but bring in DFA players. We'll see if he gets moved. I'll keep an eye on Zach Gallen. AJ Project says that he'll probably be a qualifying offer guy. They're not going to move him. I'll cross Kenley Jansen's name off for the moment. Maybe they release him. Of course, a bunch of names out. Edward Cabrera could get moved. I don't think either. I think one or the other will get moved. One of these Marlins pitchers, either Cabrera or Alcantara. I don't think Sagano's going to get moved from Baltimore. I think he would have been moved already. Stephen Kwan, I wouldn't touch him. I'm sorry. There's nothing about him that impresses me at all, to be honest with you folks. Let me go back. I just want to take a look at him. Let me take a look at Kwan. I was not impressed with what I saw this morning, a little while ago. He's a 286 hitter. This is Stephen Kwan. He's played 4 years in the majors with Cleveland. He's got 63 stolen bases, 11 this year. This is with the bigger bases. It's not great. He scored 89, 93, 83, 53 runs in the last few years. 2 years ago in 2023, he played 158 games, Had 36 doubles, 7 triples, 5 home runs. Pathetic. That's not enough. His slugging percentage in his career is 398. His OPS is 755. His on base percentage is 357 in his career. I wouldn't give up my top 10 prospect for him. Not at all. Now he's a great defensive player, Gold Glove player, Gold Glove outfielder. 1, 2, 3. He's won 3 Gold Gloves. I'll probably win another one. And everybody's going crazy. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. And his OPS plus as a player, there's nothing to write home about. His OPS plus in his career is 113. 2 years ago, in 2023, it was 97. Nothing special. A Project says Cabrera would be the likely one to go if a big offer comes around. Okay. Let's see. Let me go back to my list here. Let's see, Felix Batista. I haven't heard much about him. Uh, Phil Mayton's probably going to get moved. Just going through names that are highlight. Griffin Jackson, we just need to see if he gets moved. Again, like I said, the Dodgers have been very, very quiet. Mackenzie Gore doesn't look like he's getting moved. Yandy Diaz doesn't look like he's getting moved. Keep an eye on Paul Blackburn. Mets might move him before we're too late. Justin Verlander could get moved. And that's about it. We got maybe, I don't know after that, but hello, Stony814 says, I know the deadline got 20 minutes left, but want to thank you, HUD, for the stream. Well, no problem. I said I was going to do it. And of course, I like doing it. Hopefully, we do more of these. I can't ever promise because you never know. I work a lot and I get very tired. I really am get worn out very easily. And, but we'll see what happens here. Let's get close to the deadline. We're getting awfully close now. All right, here's another trade. Phil Mayton got traded to the Rangers from the Cardinals. I kind of just said that he was going to get moved, and he's gotten moved. Let's see where I have him on the list. Phil, where are you, Phil? Where's Phil? Phil's been traded to the Rangers. So maybe he'll get mad in September when the Mets play him. When the Mets play him again, when he pitches against the Mets in September. I got mad when he's pitching against the Mets when he's with the Cardinals. Stony814 says, please, Blackburn, get traded. We'll find out. We got 19 minutes now. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. See where we are. Randy's been very active here. I don't think that Garcia's getting moved. Just going to X. See if anything's been updated here. Now, please, of course, subscribe and like this video if you're watching a replay. Why don't you watch live? And then once we go through the deadline itself, we'll end the show. It's just waiting to see what else the Mets do. Really, this is the Mets stream, obviously, but there's a lot of names here. The Mets have been attached to a lot of names. Obviously, Mets being able to spend a lot of money, and put themselves in good position to win the whole thing. I think they put themselves in a very good position with the pitching. That's very important. And hopefully we'll be able to sort of see where they are in a couple of months. But the Mets are in good shape. They got another bat here. I would have liked to see them get another bat. I don't think that's going to happen. But we do have 17 minutes left before the deadline. They're showing Anthony Volpe on TV. 0 for 32 versus 14 fastballs. An irresistible chicken sandwich. I respect chicken sandwiches. Hope the Mets can push for one more good trade. Absolutely. Chicken sandwiches are good. We should put a little mayonnaise on, cheese, and lettuce and tomato. No offense, my friend. Don't feel threatened. One of the great names on here. I don't know if I mentioned this, but when I posted, okay, we got another trade. Miguel Andujar just got traded to the Reds. I do not have his name on the list. He's with the A's. Maybe the A's will start moving some pieces out of here. Obviously, they got a bunch of pieces being moved. They kind of told everybody this morning what was going on. But, yeah, so Andujar, who hit really well in Sacramento. Sacramento, they got traded to the Reds. That's another team that's all in because they have a manager that wants to win. Hall of Fame manager who knows how to win. You had winning teams, the Red Sox had winning teams in Cleveland with the Indians, and they're all in that team. There's another trade from the Pirates. They're trading Bailey Falter to the Royals. Guess the Royals are all in, I guess. Royals in a weird spot. But then again, there's 9.5 games behind the Tigers. The Tigers had such a big lead on these teams that they played so poorly, and they still got a big lead on them. The Royals are 3 games back on the last wild card spot. So they can't give up. Same thing. But Cleveland's in a weird spot. They're moving pieces. There's talk of them moving players, but they haven't moved anybody big. Crazy. Now, of course, Yao got 15 minutes now. 15 minutes, folks. 15 minutes. 15 minutes now till we get to the deadline. 15 minutes to the deadline. Now 14 minutes. We are at the finish line. This is from Craig Mish. Who the hell he is. This is a retweet from Michael Marino. Miami Marlins will not be trading Sandy Alcantara today. He once again be the ace down the stretch as the Marlins keep pushing this season and developing for the future. I said that he was not getting traded because they did not get the value that they want for him. They want ace value, and he hasn't pitched like that. I didn't think he was getting traded. I said that. I said that a little while ago. I said that like an hour ago. A pitcher like that has to get moved right away. He can't be sitting there till the end because there's too much, that you have to sort of massage emotionally. So, but he's not getting moved. I didn't think he was. And I was right. Hut's always right. This is why you have to subscribe to the channel because I'm always right when it comes to this stuff. I'm very good at predicting this stuff. Very good at it. Let's see here. I tell you, this trade for Hernan and a big trade. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 player trade. And the one player that's a prospect that's going back to the Orioles. Yeah, so Alcantara's not getting moved. Like I said, he wasn't going to get moved last little bit. And Robert's not getting moved. It's a very strange trade deadline because a lot of times these big names, they get moved. And those 2 names did not get moved. But like I said, the bad teams don't know what the hell they're doing. There's a reason why they're bad. It's because they don't know what they're doing. The Marlins don't know what they're doing half the time. And now you see how Kim Nang was so important because she was able to get them to win. She put a winning team together, But the White Sox did nothing tonight and today. They did absolutely nothing. They thought that Robert was going to get them a lot of good players, and he's gotten them nothing. Nothing. And then there's some teams that keep pushing. Padres keep pushing. They keep trying to get better. Houston, same thing. And the Mets, they were very active here. We'll see if they're able to make one more move before we call it a night. And interestingly enough, there's no game tomorrow. Also, the Red Sox have made a trade. They're getting Dustin May from the Dodgers, which I have him on the list here. But I had the Yankees attached to him. Where is he? So he went to the Red Sox. See, again, it'd be interesting to see, what the Dodgers do. The Dodgers haven't done much. They haven't done anything. They've not made any big moves. You'd think they would have brought in a starter. They didn't even do that. Interesting. Nestor Cortez got traded. Didn't have him on the list. He got traded to the Padres. He was on the trading block. He was on the trading block, and this is from the Munchkin Ken Rosenthal. So he got traded. Interesting. I didn't have his name down. I should have had his name down. Oh well. So he went to the Padres. That seems to be like a perfect fit. I would mention this about the Padres. I haven't said this. They always seem to have a good bullpen during the regular season, but then when that postseason starts, they grip that baseball a little tighter. They grip that baseball a hell of a lot tighter than they normally would. So Nestor Cortez went to the Padres. Dustin May went to the Dodgers. That's Carrot Top if you don't know. That's who he reminds me of. Let's see. Yeah, so Sandy Alcantara's not getting moved. All right, we got another trade. This is from the Yankees. Not trades are coming down now. Jose Cabreras from the Rays, which I had on here. That's the only team I saw attached. So that's another trade. Another trade for the Yankees. Guess that helps their infield a little bit. For Everson Piera and a player to be named later. And he's got 34 stolen bases. He leads the major leagues in stolen bases. Yes, the Munchkin put out that the Munchkin Ken Rosenthal. I'm not being fresh. The guy talks about how he's so short. And he's, he says he's short. So if he says he's short, there's nothing wrong calling him a Munchkin. I don't know if he's from the land of Oz or Munchkin Town, but let's see here. So Nestor Cortez went to the Padres. I didn't have his name down at all on the list. I did not put him down. He's going back to the and the Brewers are picking up Brandon Lockridge. He hasn't pitched since the beginning of the season when the Yankees beat him up in it's one of the first games of the season. But gotten some trades here in the last few minutes. So we got 8 minutes now. 8 minutes now until the trade deadline. We'll see if we got any more trades to talk about. And there'll be some trades that'll trickle in after the fact too. After the deadline, not many. I follow Nick DeToro, the actor, and we got 8 minutes left, 7 minutes left till the trade deadline, and he's complaining. And he's always complaining. I find it hysterically funny. The funniest is I've been following him since Soto signed with the Mets, and he just ripped into him. It was the funniest thing. And since he's an actor, he can garner that emotion, and he's flipping out that the Yankees didn't bring in a starting pitcher because he must have saw that Alcantara's not getting moved. From Bob Nightingale, the Arizona Diamondbacks getting little traction in talks with Zach Gallen. Now expect to keep him barring a last-minute offer. There's been rumors that he's pitching in front of scouts, and the scouts have not liked what they've seen. So now we got a flip. We got a flip here. A player has been flipped. Taylor Rogers has gotten flipped to the Cubs. So he's gotten flipped. He got traded from the Pirates to the Cubs. You knew that was going to happen. Now I'm getting some trades now. So I'll just keep. Now we got 6 minutes left to the deadline. And we'll see. Adrian Hauser went to the Rays. So I do have him on the list. I don't know why. I got him on here. I don't know what the hell I got him on this list. But he got moved. But they made such a big deal out of him today. He'll probably pitch great for them now. So he's been traded. Let's see, any more moves here? I mean, the Pirates, just to go to the Pirates a little bit. You have Mitch Keller. You don't trade him. You're not going anywhere. You let everybody know you're not going anywhere, and you hold on to him. Why? Just going through some names here. So everything's coming in all at once now. Now we got 5 minutes. 5 minutes to the trade deadline. Yeah, so Mayton went to the Rangers. Yeah, Caballero got traded to the Yankees. See if we got any more moves here. Yeah, so we're gonna get some more moves here before in 4 minutes. We got 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Baseball HUD. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Then we'll call it a night. Then we'll call it off season. I'll call the regular season. I remember the very first year I did the channel. One of the funniest phrases I thought was amusing was that I talk about these different all these different players and stuff, and people leave comments, comment section. They say, "Well, the Mets did this, and call it an off season." And I always thought that was like the funniest phrase I ever read and heard. And once in a while, I use that, especially in the off season. The Mets do this, and call it an off season. The Mets do this, call the World Series. So I always thought that was amusing to me. I don't know if it's been amusing to anybody else, but yeah. So Caballero was brought in because they needed insurance at shortstop. Guess they want to just give that kid a break. Little Mets news. It seems that Mitch Voigt's going to play tonight for the St. Lucie Mets. He's in the lineup. That'll be at 6:30. First professional game. We'll see how he does. All right, we got from Scoops. Yeah, a lot of moves now coming in. See if we got any more. From Mark Feinstein, the White Sox will not be trading Robert Jr. Yeah, no kidding. Because they don't know what the F they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. And that's why he's not getting moved. That's for sure. That's the reason why that team is bad. The reason why a lot of these teams are bad. They don't know what the F they're doing. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. White Sox, the Angels, the Marlins, And then some teams are so aggressive, like the Padres know what the hell they're doing. They trade players, they help them, and then of course they trade prospects that help the other team. I mean, that's the one thing I said earlier on X is that you never hear that AJ Preller has burned a team with a prospect. No team complains about the prospects they get from him. We now got 2 minutes to the deadline. So we're at the nitty gritty, folks. We're at the nitty gritty. Some Joe DeMayo. While the White Sox actually held here, this is Robert. It's a good thing the Mets pivoted Cedric Mullins because otherwise they'd have ended up with nothing in center field, right? And like I said, here's some more stupidity from the Pirates. This from Mark Feinstein. The Pirates will not be trading Andrew Haney or Dennis Santana by the trade deadline. They know what they're doing. My God. Dennis Santana should have gotten moved the second he started fighting with the fan in the bullpen. And they're holding on to him. Yeah, I guess they couldn't leave. They had to have somebody to protect the owner, I guess. Unbelievable. Oh, wow. Here's a big trade. This is a big trade from the Yankees. This is from Jack Curry from the Yes Network. The Yankees acquired Camilo Doval from the Giants. There was all kinds of rumors that after they made the trade with the Mets that he was going to get moved. Wow, that's a big move. That's a big move. I didn't have his name down. And I should have had his name down because I knew he was going to get moved. And interesting. Interesting. That is very interesting. That's a big move. They give themselves a very good bullpen. It's like a whole bunch of copycats, a whole bunch of you know repeats. They see the Mets do it, and everybody else is doing it now. Let's see here. Smart. Yeah, okay, we got here. This is just confirmation from Jeff Passan and the Camilo trade. But the Giants just ripped that team apart. John Heyman, Tigers working hard for it now at 6 o'clock now. So here we are at the deadline. We do not have a trade for the Mets unless it comes in the next few minutes. So the Mets are pretty much done. But they did a lot. They did a lot of work here. Brought in another outfielder, which they needed to do, an everyday player. And they really beefed up the bullpen. I hope you like the show. Hope you like the show that I put on today. Yes, I saw that chicken sandwich about the Knicks. That's another team that seems to not know what the hell they're doing, especially lately. Let's see here. Yankees made a lot of moves today and yesterday. They improved their bullpen too, in a big way. We're now 1 minute past the deadline, and no more Mets moves as far as I can tell. But they made big moves though. Certainly improved the bullpen. Let's see. There's some John Morosi. Nats did not trade Mackenzie Gore. Okay. Not going to be on too much longer after this. Hope you like the show. And, of course, back in the near future. But the big move, today was, as I came on to do the show, was Cedric Mullins. They needed to bring another outfielder in here. And that's what they did. And they didn't give up much for him. Bunch of middle relievers in the minor leagues. That's nothing. And Gomez is a guy that's got no control, according to people in the organization. And Nunez was a guy that was bouncing around. And Chandler Marsh wasn't even rated. But, yes, I know. Stearns will address the team in the media a little bit. I'm just going to wait a few more minutes, and then we'll end the show. I just want to see if there's any more trades coming through. Let's see. Okay, Charlie Morton's gotten traded. He's gone to the Tigers. Charlie Morton, which was a name on here. He's gone to the Tigers. Griffin Jackson, he's gone to the Rays. Wow. Boy, the Twins really ripped that team apart. Wow. They really ripped that team apart. Unbelievable. Let's see who else. Yes, Alcantara and Cabrera are still with the Marlins. Crazy. Boy, the Twins just taking apart their their team. Wow. For Mike Puma, who thinks he's like a comedian on here. Mets are done dealing. Mullins was it. Okay. But Charlie Morton to the Tigers, that's a big move. Let's see what they saying to Puma. It's one bad comment after another, and all from every alternate account. Nobody with a face. Pretty much 90% with no faces. Let's see. Let's see. Anything else here? Ty France got traded to the Blue Jays. What was he? With the Mariners? I forgot where he was playing. Let me see something. Where's Ty France playing? He's the Twins. Boy, the Twins, boy, they traded everybody. Twins traded everybody they had. Wow. Wow. Boy, they just ripped that team apart. From the closer to Correa. Wow. I must tell you they don't feel confident about that team. Would say they are being in the process of being sold. Wow. That's amazing. Let me see anything else here before we go to the show. Going off season. Let's see. Red Sox did very little. I mean, the Dodgers did very little. Excuse me. Wow. They did very little. Well, going to end the show here. I want to thank you for coming by. This was the beginning part of the show was great. But Paul Blackburn's still here. Surprised. Thought he was going to get moved. But well, thank you for coming by. Of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hub. If you're watching on replay, leave comments in the comment section. I want to thank you, and I'll see you later.